Ireland is known as the land of saints and scholars and has a very strong Christian faith. And yet, in 1682, an English visitor to County Kildare observed the following.
Notwithstanding all the laws and methods used to reclaim them, they still retain some customs heathenish, barbarous, and superstitious. They believed in the transmigration of souls, and that as a man lived, so would his soul return to an animal of like disposition, such as a cruel man into a wolf. The firstborn lamb or calf each season they dedicate to the animal to which they receive the soul, thus hoping to spare their herds and flocks. In the middle of the 1800s, the Irish literary movement was associated with a revival of interest in Ireland's Celtic heritage. Poets, writers, antiquarians and music collectors began to focus on Ireland's Celtic past. In the late 1800s, the Irish poet William Butler Yeats published Fairy and Folk Tales of the Irish Peasantry, a compilation of pieces by various authors of the 18th and 19th centuries. In it, he asked this question: who are the Irish fairies? Fallen angels, who are not good enough to be saved, nor bad enough to be lost, say the peasantry. The gods of the earth, says the Book of Armagh. The gods of pagan Ireland, say the Irish antiquarians. The Tuatha Dé Danann, who when no longer worshipped and fed with offerings, dwindled away in the popular imagination, and now are only a few spans high.
So a span is an old unit of measurement. It's the distance from the tip of your thumb to the tip of your little finger.
On the whole, the popular belief tells us most about them, telling us how they fell, and yet were not lost, because their evil was wholly without malice. Many poets, and all mystic and occult writers, in all ages and countries, have declared that behind the visible are chains on chains of conscious beings, who are not of heaven, but of the earth, who have no inherent form, but change according to their whim, or the mind that sees them. You cannot lift your hand without influencing and being influenced by hordes. The visible world is merely their skin. In dreams we go amongst them, and play with them, and combat with them. They are perhaps human souls in the crucible, these creatures of whim. Yeats continues, when the wind makes the straws and leaves whirl as it passes, that is the fairies, and the peasantry take off their hats and say, God bless them.
So today in Ireland, is there any evidence of this belief?
Ireland today has hundreds of what we call fairy forts. These ancient ring forts date from the early Middle Ages, and when they were abandoned by their human inhabitants, it is said that they were taken over by the fairies. Ireland's greatest Celtic harpist was the blind Turlough O'Carolan, born in 1670. It was said he fell asleep on a fairy fort, and his head was filled with magical music that helped contribute to his gift for melodic composition. Take this fairy fort, for example, in a County Louth field. It is left intact, never touched. The tractor and plough must go round it, when agri-economics would dictate it was a waste of ground. And if there are hundreds of fairy forts, there are thousands of hawthorn fairy trees standing proud in the middle of fields. Another challenge to the tractor. Both fort and tree are for the gathering of fairies.
So in Irish culture there are many stories about the consequences of interfering or damaging a fairy tree or a fairy fort. I remember a local prominent businessman telling me a story about a horseman who had interfered with a fairy fort, and a few days later he was killed from a fall from his horse. So to understand Irish superstition, we again need to turn to the words of Yeats.
In spite of hosts of deniers and asserters, and wise men and professors, the majority are still averse to sitting down to dine 13 at a table, or being helped to salt, or walking under a ladder, or seeing a single magpie flirting his checkered tail. There are, of course, children of light who have set their faces against all this, though even a newspaper man, if you entice him into a cemetery at midnight, will believe in phantoms, for everyone is a visionary if you scratch him deep enough.
So Yeats finishes by saying, Everyone is a visionary if you scratch deep enough. By visionary he means everyone is superstitious if you scratch deep enough. But the Celt is a visionary without scratching.
Thank you for watching, but please like and subscribe, as this will encourage future productions.